Good evening, everyone. I pray you're doing well. We're going to look at some of the strange news that has been coming out so far in just really the past few hours. Some of these stories are actually a little bit older, but they are relevant to what's going on in the world today. This was an interesting video. We'll look at this about Obama. Post there. A lot of these videos are about what Candace Owens is saying right now. Haven't been involved in that really. Don't care too much, but she's things are getting really weird with that. And then just a lot of these strange, stories coming out. So we'll get into all of this, starting off with this clip that just came out from Canada. Prime Minister Carney. We'll just take a listen for yourselves.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order. I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well.
Listen again.
For the new world order.
For the new world order, taking his breaths, taking his time for the new world order. They just openly admit that they want a new world order now. They're gladly ready to go right for that. Everything going on in regards to this. They want the new world order. They want to control speech. They're literally shipping in the immigrants from these other countries to cause destabilization and then to come in with new solutions. Even with what we're seeing in America. I mean, they're setting it up in a way where the previous administrations created such a massive problem with the immigration and all this stuff that now when we see military in the streets, then protesters being arrested, federal agents arresting illegal immigrants. Now they make it to where normally people who used to be completely against that stuff, like myself, they're doing it in a way now to where it's like, well, someone has to step in and at least enforce crime in America, right? Like, what are we going to do? Just not allow crime or just allow crime to run rampant and illegal immigrants and all these things to just run rampant in America? So now it's like they created a problem and now the solution looks like, okay, like, we need some solution. Hard to imagine that they didn't do that in a way, to where they did that on purpose. Hopefully through this, we can maybe just at least curb some of this stuff, get it done with, get it over with, set up some actual law and order in America that is fundamental for us to follow. And then we can not have to do this whole situation. But it's crazy. And this is happening around the world, happening in the UK. And that's the reason they're pushing for the digital ID in the UK. They want a new world order. This will come eventually. We pray in Jesus' name against all the wicked plans of the rulers of the world who are trying to bring corruption and destruction to the people of the world. God bless you guys. See you in the chat. I'll be paying attention to chat. I've got some videos pulled up that we'll watch, and so I'll be able to read the chat a little better. Yeah, Canada is definitely sad to see the way it's going. Yeah, it's sad. So this was posted today, January 15th, of some strange anomalies happening in the clouds.
What's going on right now? Like, what is this? There's a start point, like here, and it's just like a ripple effect that is just scattered. What's going on right now?
I'm sure some of these anomalies with the clouds and stuff can be explained with, certain different wind patterns or something along these lines. But we do know that they're shooting.
I believe the progress that we have made in the.
There's the New World Order guy again. We know that they have technology where they're shooting stuff in the atmosphere. They have HARP frequencies blasting them over the horizon into the ionosphere. So they have the technology to be manipulating things. This could even be, I'd imagine that the clouds would be reacting to HARP when they're blasting massive, heating up the ionosphere. It probably affects clouds. So this could definitely be something that is going on with this. And when I saw this video in relation to now this coming out, it made me think, well, okay, more information is going to be coming out in the coming years, and especially as we head into the future with AI and technology where we're at right now, where people are going to start to see that we have a very advanced technology. Certain people, different nations, people within our own nation have been using it against us. You know, I try to not have everything be massive conspiracy, everything's against us. I don't believe that, but we should be on alert that these things exist. And even this whole Havana syndrome, that's what kind of led me into this whole thing too, which are now coming out and saying, you know, it's a legit thing and it could be some government device that was bought by the Pentagon in 2024. If the Pentagon only had it in 2024, DARPA already had this stuff 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I mean, what the military is advanced is like 10, 15, 20 years beyond what we can even comprehend. Here's CBS talking about it. Obviously, I don't like any of the mainstream news source, but we'll get a little bit of information from this.
May have found the device that causes Havana syndrome, a mysterious and often debilitating condition first reported by U.S. officials in Cuba back in 2016. Here's what we now know. Back in late 2024, using Pentagon funding, the government quietly bought a portable backpack-sized device. And for more than a year, they'd been testing whether it can trigger the same effects reported by Havana syndrome victims. More than 1,500 cases had been reported worldwide. People described sudden, intense headaches, crushing pressure in the head, vertigo, nausea, ringing or popping in the ears. And some say they even heard a piercing, high-pitched sound that was very painful and that seemed to stop only when they moved to another location. And for some, those symptoms were so severe that they had to leave their jobs entirely. While the first cases involved U.S. diplomats and intelligence officers in Havana, reports have since come in from dozens of countries affecting diplomats, intelligence officers, and even military personnel. Now, here's where things get kind of complicated. In 2023, U.S. intelligence said it was very unlikely that a foreign adversary was responsible for the illnesses. The Biden administration formally renamed the cases anomalous health incidents, or AHIs, and that conclusion was reaffirmed in a 2025 report. But many victims say they spent years, some more than a decade, trying to get their government to take them seriously.
A decade. So they've been knowing about this for a decade. So why are they coming out now in these new reports? The government quietly bought a device in late 2024 using Pentagon funding, and they're testing to see if it's capable of reproducing effects of Havana syndrome. Where are they testing it? They know this stuff. I mean, when we get these reports from Pentagon, the Pentagon's doing this. The Pentagon has this now. Funding is coming out with this. New reports from the Pentagon. That's like 10 years old. It's just they are so slow with the government. It's just crazy to see how the government operates. All of it. And these people who are completely caught in crime. I mean, what, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were just they were commanded, just like as we as citizens, if we're commanded to go to court, you have to go to court. They were said to go to court 2 times. Now they didn't go for the second time. He's in contempt of Congress. We'll see if he actually gets arrested. Do these people ever get arrested? Whatever happened to Podesta? I mean, we know that guy's involved in weird stuff. There's a reason he doesn't have a Twitter and he's not on social media after everybody blew up his whole, everything that was going on with him. How come these people just, nothing ever comes about it with these people in politics? It's not right. I mean, Trump is definitely at least doing, you can't deny at this point, at least, that Trump is doing the things that he said he was going to do. Not all of it. The Epstein stuff, I'm upset about too, 100%. But a lot of this other stuff, I mean, we're definitely seeing some stuff getting done. That's for sure. Definitely different from the 4 years prior to that. Let's finish this video off, then move on to some more, some new news stuff. We'll get into some of the Candace Owens, some strange things she's saying. I don't know. I pray her eyes will be open. I think she's actually starting to lose her mind or become demonically possessed or something. I'm not sure. A lot of these guys I don't know what's going on in the whole influencer conservative space. It's so strange right now. It's getting weirder all the time.
They were paying out of pocket for diagnosis and treatments while their employers questioned whether anything was wrong at all. According to 2 people familiar with the matter, in the final weeks of the Biden administration, the Department of Homeland Security's Investigations Division obtained this device, one that contains components of Russian origin. The price tag? More than 8 figures. Now, this device emits pulse radio frequency energy, and that much we know. What we don't know are the specifics of the testing or what conclusions, if any, have been reached so far. The Pentagon and DHS did not respond to requests for comment. CIA has declined to comment, which leaves a lot of unanswered questions for the people who've been living with this and for the rest of us.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the Pentagon, the CIA, they're going to decline comments on that because this is technology they've been involved with, they've been working with for a long time. They have stuff way more advanced than that. Strange stuff. Thanks for waking up now for the super chat. God bless you. Appreciate you. When the Lord Jesus fasted in the desert, Satan came to tempt him. The last temptation was Satan offering all the kingdoms of the world. Yeah, that's true. We can see that the kingdoms of the world have Satan has control in them. We want, just as we can read the history of Israel, they had moments of kings that were following God and there was prosperity, and moments of the kings not following God, following the false idols of the land, and there was hardships and other things. We want to be, as Christians, ruling in every influence of society. I fully believe that we should be taking over. When God comes, when Jesus decides to come back, or when he sets the Great Tribulation in motion, then we'll just go along with the flow and he'll lead us according to his will. But in the meantime, I think we should dominate every single area that we possibly can. And so I think that we should do that as nations, as governments, as companies, as everything. We want to spread Christianity. That's the reason America's so prosperous. It's the reason people literally build boats out of trash in Cuba and try to float on them over here, because we are a Christian nation and they were formed from a demonic ideology of communism. And so, yeah, Christianity is what causes prosperity. And so, yeah, I think we should be doing that here in America and around the world, and in every area of Christians should be dominating. And then when Jesus decides again, the Great Tribulation, then we'll just go with the flow then. But even then, we're going to dominate and spread the gospel of Jesus. And that's the most important thing. And that's what I'll get to kind of now in all this stuff. Carefree and LA apologetics. God bless you guys. Yeah. Podesta's crimes on children has been known for at least 20 years, but nothing will be done. They're always on the same side. Yeah, it's disgusting that these people don't face the same criminal justice that they should. I mean, even what if Trump's like spiritual leaders, I forget the guy, I don't know the guy's name, I've seen him before, but he's a spiritual guy associated with Trump, just got arrested for same thing, stuff with kids, a girl 12 years old, I think, I don't know all the details, but he only got 6 months in jail or something. These people need harsher penalties, all these people. Every crime in America should have a harsher penalty. Then maybe people will stop committing them. And the government, the politicians who are committing crimes, they need to be facing for real repercussions too. There's no reason that these people can get away with this stuff and do whatever they want. Bill Clinton should be arrested 100% now. All these people should be. What's up, Theo? God bless, man. Nice to see you. Yeah, I forget. I think they've been saying spiritual leader. I don't know exactly what the person is, but we'll get into this a little bit, and then I do want to, just in case you don't get the end of this video, I'll cover it more at the end. The most important thing that we need to be doing as Christians for sure is the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the message that transforms life. That's lives. That's the message that transforms nations, transforms people. The love of Jesus. If your main thing or the main driving force behind you is not the love of Jesus Christ and the truth of the Bible, then whoever these people are missing the mark completely. And so some of these people like Nick and Tucker and Candace, they all say that they are, they're Christians. Most of them, Nick and Candace, say they're Catholic. I don't know what Tucker is or claims to be. That's what you can see. I mean, a lot of Catholics, like these guys, are not reading the Bible. I saw a clip of Candace the other day said, well, she doesn't read the Bible. She doesn't talk about the Bible because she thinks her priest should talk about the Bible. Nick said that he thinks that Christians shouldn't even read the Bible, and that it would have been better if just the Catholic priests were reading the Bible and teaching it to people, because now people are thinking stuff like, well, maybe God does want the Jews to be saved. These people will lose the mark in the long run, because if they don't care about what the Bible has to say and the truth of the Bible, they're going to lose. And then it's weird that like all these guys, why it seems like they're just like, why does Tucker have this red Kabbalah bracelet on? Why does Tucker have that on? This thing with Nick, I mean, okay, that thing's got a little out of hand. Some people just do that. But now I see, Ian Carroll has this red Kabbalah bracelet on. I mean, Tucker's worn it a lot. I've just posted this a couple times on my Twitter feed and made a video about it. It's like a Jewish Kabbalah thing. Now Tucker's not wearing that anymore. I honestly wonder if he got kicked out of his little Kabbalah thing, and that's why he is so obsessed with criticizing Jews now. I don't know. It's weird. Like, what is going on with this? And then it made me think, when this popped up today, when Sean Ryan posted this, if the Iranian people crave true freedom, the moment to rise up is now. Inshallah. Inshallah. I don't know if, like, you know, Sean, I do think Sean is a genuinely decent person who cares about the Bible and cares about the truth. He does a way better job about bringing on a large variety of people on his podcast compared to people like Tucker. You can tell Tucker is completely planning who he picks, not talking about certain things. People say he's a great journalist. He didn't even mention the Minnesota fraud thing. It was like the biggest story of 2026. He didn't even mention it. I don't, you know, Sean spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I'm hoping that this is just something that, like, he said, you know, he would say to, like, the people he worked with in the Middle East, and it's like a respect thing. But this is a demonic, Allah is a demonic god, a false god from the pits of hell, leading billions of people to an eternity of burning in hell by a pedo warlord, Muhammad. His god is Allah. So ish Allah. I mean, come on, we got to wake up. I don't know why so many of these guys are simping for Islam. It's just, it's sick to see. It really is. And they're all going in that direction. And it's really annoying. A little bit more on the politician thing, then we'll get into Candace's stuff here. This was not recent. This was post recently, but they don't even hide it anymore. And it's, as Tim Waltz is in the news recently, it's important to point this out. You know, here's where you see, you know, Jesus says, you'll know them by their fruits. So we'll take a listen to some of the fruits surrounding Tim Waltz.
At the Minnesota State Capitol, and I'm here to double check on what everybody's been talking about on social media, is this plaque in honor of our governor, Tim Walz, and it is from people that are supportive of his efforts, and there it is, right here in the East Hall, lower level.
Minnesota.
That is the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshippers. Thanks, Governor Tim Walz, for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism in the state capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. And that's what it says.
So there you go. I wonder why so many people who follow the Ishmael false satanic religion are now flourishing in Minnesota. Well, they have plaques up to the other false gods in Minnesota saying, you know, this, yes, small gods, evil gods, Satan, following Satan, saying, you know, Minnesota thanks you, Tim Waltz, as a satanic organization. No surprise that we see so much evil now flourishing in the state of Minnesota. This is another guy, 100% Tim Waltz, knew the fraud was going on, was allowing it to go on. Same with the mayor of Minneapolis. These guys knew the Somali fraud was going on. They danced to the little Somali with the Somali songs. They moved the Minnesota flag out. They put the Somali flag in its place. These guys are pandering for votes, selling out America, selling out American cities for votes, for Democratic votes, and meanwhile destroying the fabric of what made America great. America always has its problems, but we are a great nation overall in comparison to the rest of the world, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And these guys are trying to destroy it. This is another guy he 100% knew. He should be arrested too. If Tim Waltz faces no fines or jail time or anything for the fraud that he allowed to go on in his country, it's like, what's the point of all this stuff here, right? Like, what is the point of everything going on if these people are not going to face some sort of repercussion? It could not be more obvious that Bill Clinton was involved in harming young underage women on Epstein's Island. And he's now not going into court. He's contempt of Congress. Is he not going to get arrested now? This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Thanks for waking up now. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the super chats. Ishmael just means God wills in Arabic. Arab Christians use it. It's their language, you know, what else they can speak. Yeah, you know, I did a whole video on the whole, like, Allah means God thing in Aramaic and that whole thing. You know, Allah is attributed to the God of the Quran, the false God of the Quran. You wouldn't go into these places and say Allah and mean the God of the Bible. So, you know, they're talking about a false God there who's leading 2 billion people, billions of them, to hell and causing the most incredible amount of harm on the face of the earth is connected to Islam. And so, yeah, the fact that we have people standing up for Islam is nuts. I'm not saying that about you. I did a whole video on that whole thing. The whole Allah thing. I think there's more to it. I honestly forget it now, but yeah, I know that right now. That's what they attribute it to Allah mainly. And any God. I mean, if it's like saying God, but it's Sean knows what he's doing. It's like the same thing that, you know, some Christians now say, like fallen angels are extraterrestrials. And people say that and they're like, well, when you look at it, they're not from Earth, they're extraterrestrials. Well, guess what 99% of people on the Earth are thinking when you say angels are extraterrestrials? They're from other planets. They build little spaceships and they came here from another planet. That's what 99% of people are thinking. So even if extraterrestrial is a word that makes sense to descriptively describe what an angel is, it's a terrible descriptive word if we're trying to explain angels and demons and fallen angels and aliens and UFOs to people, because they think you're thinking of a little gray thing from another planet 99.9% of the time. Same thing with this. If anyone says we follow all, well, in Aramaic, and again, I'm not on you here, Doom. I'm just saying, like when people say, because I saw someone else saying this and it was a Muslim too, but he's like, it just means God in Aramaic. Well, they're talking about the false demon god of Islam. And for Sean, even if this just means this, I don't know. He spent a lot of time in the Middle East. Maybe that's a thing over there, like saying, hey, bro, or something. But still, I personally would never use a demon's name in any of my posts unless I'm exposing them. So Candace has been posting some strange videos the past few days. And so let's just take a look at some of these. I pray that whatever's going on with her eyes will be opened. It's a very odd thing that the leading conservative voices in America have now like turned in this direction where they're like, all of them are anti-Israel. They're all anti-Jewish. They have no understanding of the scriptures. Guaranteed Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Nick Fuentes would, if you said, hey, give me your best interpretation of Romans 11. Huh? What is that? Yeah, they sit here and talk about, I mean, Candace makes her living off of criticizing Israel, and I guarantee she has no explanation to Romans 11. Sorry to say. And, you know, I have my issues with, I don't think probably the best thing that Jesus wants the government of Israel to do is just obliterate buildings and people all the time. I'm not saying that either, but to say Jewish people and Israel have no place in Bible prophecy is like, you don't know it. You haven't read it. Like, read the book of Revelation alone. It's mentioned a lot in the book of Revelation. Anyways, here's some of the strange things Candace is saying. I hope she's doing all right, and I pray she has a revelation of the truth of Jesus.
And that I thought I was from another planet, that I was an alien my entire life.
I'll slow this down. She talks fast anyway.
And that I thought I was from another planet, that I was an alien my entire life. Just do not get it here. This planet is ghetto. That's how I feel. I don't understand it. The rules don't make sense. I think that's also why I like cats so much. I feel that they can relate to that. They think humanity is ghetto. They don't want to be around us. They don't like us. They know it's ghetto. It is ghetto here, right? And that I thought I was from another planet, that I was an alien.
So Candace thought she was an alien. Here's some more stuff she's talking about. We'll end this one off on the last one, and then we'll there's one more actually, but here's another one that she just posted. This was from yesterday.
You know what I wanted to talk about today? I'll save it for tomorrow, but this Project Looking Glass in the CIA, I wonder what they saw. Looking into the future, stealing not Egyptian, but Sumerian technology, which is what they did. These are culture vultures. These Egyptsies is what they are. They wear whatever mask they need to. They have to either pretend to be Catholic, do I pretend to be Jewish, do I pretend to be Muslim? No, they're thieves. They're glorified thieves is what these people are. And they've always been this since the beginning of history. And they stole some Sumerian technology that allowed them to predict outcomes. And that technology stopped working in 2012. We're going to get into that tomorrow. I find it to be fascinating. I wonder if they saw Charlie Kirk. Anyways, we'll see you guys tomorrow. You know what I wanted to
This sort of thing has come up in the past. Operation Looking Glass, there's no evidence that, I mean, of course, even if there was, would they let us know? Probably not. I mean, there are leaks sometimes, and sometimes they even accidentally leak stuff in Freedom of Information Acts. They didn't realize that like the internet would be a thing one day and people would actually sit and scour them. And they even make mistakes now. And actually, I do believe some people in the government care about truth, care about freedom, and actually release some stuff without it knowing, like made a mistake, or like the Epstein files, oops, like you can actually unredact the files, like that was a mistake. Could have been somebody who did that on purpose, hopefully. I mean, the truth matters. We should have the truth. It's like Snowden did the same thing, revealed to us the NSA spying on citizens. That's why he's living in Russia now. But there's definitely no technology that's ever looked in the future. There's the whole theory that the Vatican had a similar device too, where they could look into the future. They could see the crucifixion of Jesus. There's no way that that technology exists. If Satan or the evil forces of the world ever had that technology, there's so many things that they would never allow happen. And even, you know, the crucifixion of Jesus, the evil forces of the world would have never allowed that to happen if they knew salvation and their absolute destruction would come from after Jesus rose from the dead. And now through the cross, it tells us in Colossians that he disarms principalities and powers and triumphs over them through it. So they don't have that technology. They do not have that technology to look into the future. And honestly, I got to say something too about Candace. I mean, it's weird that she's how many months has it been since Charlie Kirk died? And she's still talking about Charlie Kirk almost every single day, looking into theories. Some of these other people are too. I don't even want to say their names because they're just like, they don't even deserve credit to be looked at, because all they do is just like stir up drama, look at stuff that just like gets the most like people agitated. And it's just like, we're still talking about Charlie Kirk. It's crazy that we're still doing that. I mean, I'm sorry. If you're still talking about Charlie Kirk and not giving any real evidence, then it's like, you're grifting at that point. 100% grifting. Don't care about the truth, making stuff up, and now making it even weirder and weirder, like Candace has just done today, where she says that she thinks now that Charlie Kirk was a time traveler and that agents were monitoring him from his childhood. I mean, this is a sad state of when you're grifting so much and there's no new information and you can't do anything else, and like you're still getting the clicks, and it's like she just grifts into this new realm of like insanity. It's the same thing with 3i Atlas, honestly. I do find 3i Atlas interesting. I've made a few videos on it myself, and I think there's a lot of things surrounding it that are interesting, but there's people who've literally posted like 50 videos on 3i Atlas with no new information, creating fake stuff, showing fake videos, fake reports that it's like changing course, it's about to turn from Jupiter, all this AI stuff. Is like, you're grifting at that point. Like, you can't just be a shill for things if you actually care about the truth, especially if you're a Christian. First of all, off of principle, and then secondly, off of, you know, we care about the truth, get to the bottom of the matter, and don't just be a shill and don't just be a grifter, because it's not right, actually. So here's Candace's newest thing about Charlie Kirk being a time traveler.
Why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything that I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts, he did die young.
Sorry, I got to pause it right here because I do agree. I want to say something that we got. I hope you guys all keep in mind, and I need to keep in mind too, is that, you know, we had for years, the mainstream media was the only way to get information, literally to the point to where they're again leaking information, freedom of information stuff, because they think the public will never even do it. Even back in 2015, 2016, they didn't even care. They thought CNN and Fox News and these agencies didn't even have YouTube channels. I mean, I remember those days when mainstream news didn't even have YouTube channels because they thought no one watched them. And you could literally type whatever you wanted into a YouTube search, anything you wanted, like stuff that literally people have been sued for an insane amount of money for talking about theories, and it would just pop up main page. So yeah, the world has changed a lot since then. But keep in mind for that whole time that the mainstream news was the only source, and they controlled the narrative till social media came along. Now social media is here, and guess what? For sure, there are some people out there who are either being paid by foreign agents, or not either. This is happening, I'm sure, on every level. Foreign agents are paying people to say stuff. internal organizations within the United States or whatever your respective nation is are paying people and influencers to push their narratives. Specific organizations, like deep states, like organizations within organizations. Then you have globalist ones, WEF, Davos, Masons, Illuminati, whatever you want to think. These people influencing, paying, setting things up. So we got to keep in mind that just because these people are not featured on Fox News anymore or on MSNBC or CNN, and they just post on social media, for sure, there are agents, there are people who are paid, there are mockingbirds, there are foreign agents. I talk about Tucker so much because I actually used to stand up for him a lot, and I used to thought he was a genuine guy. And now that I see he's lied so an incredible amount, and he is so incredibly dishonest, and then actually looking into his history and all these other really strange things surrounding him, it's like, okay, he's for sure either a CIA agent. I think he actually has ties to the CIA, and that he's also being funded by Muslim sources because Qatar and Russia are allies. And he's always standing up to say that we need to be allies, strong allies with Russia, which we might, but he's always saying that all the time. And then he's always talking about how amazing, how Muslims aren't that bad, how terrible Israel is, and Qatar is a great place. He just bought a home there. We got to keep in mind that a lot of these people out there on social media, they can be paid for too. They can be paid off. They can be paid agents, and yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, Mossad pays people. Russia, exactly. China pays people. Russia pays people. CIA is paying people. They're controlling people. They threaten people. Why does Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, two guys who I legitimately believe before they got involved at the FBI, wanted the truth of the Epstein stuff and were going to actually release it and thought they were when they got in. They got in. They found it out. Now both these guys' eyes look like this all the time, and they say, yeah, Epstein, he did that. There's nothing to see here. The files are gone. Why do you think that is? Well, yeah, when somebody comes to threaten your entire family and shows you how they're going to do it, then guess what? You don't talk about that stuff. I couldn't say I would either. If one person actually got into government who didn't have friends and family they cared about, maybe they could actually expose this stuff, but then they'd probably just be taken out. There's a lot going on. So there's my 2 cents on that. So let's just keep in mind that there's these people out there are for sure, just because they're on social media, they can be bought and paid for too.
Why did he think that him dying young was necessary in order to change things? He did die young. It is related to Turning Point USA. In some way or another, at the very least, we can all agree it's related to him speaking at a campus event for Turning Point USA. I'm totally occupied by this. I tell you, I read these messages and I'm going, what is this? What is reality, actually? And Charlie died. Yes, like I said, it was related to this organization. And I think we would all agree that his death and the manner that they did it changed the world in ways that I don't think we can fully realize, or certainly not in a way that I can articulate. You just cannot pretend that all of this is one big unhappy coincidence. It's entirely plausible, I think plausible, that they knew something about Charlie. And that's why they had him marked and had him monitored and had him likely followed since he was young. And maybe they thought, like the agents think, that if they swarmed him and they stayed with him and they pretended to be his friend, that ultimately they could control Charlie and perhaps change an outcome. They could literally change an outcome related to Charlie. So when for the first time in his life, because I do believe he was managed, I mean, I've already said I was handled. I didn't recognize that I had agents. And for the first time in his life, Charlie peeks his head up and starts to push back in a meaningful way. They couldn't stop him from becoming bigger. That seemed to be inevitable. But they panicked. They seem to have panicked, right? I mean, this is just starting to happen within a year when Charlie's going like, hey, man, I don't actually think this. I don't actually believe this. And then he goes, you know what? Take the money. Take the money out of the organization. And they panicked. They freaked out. And their solution was, no, just kill him. Just kill him.
Thank you, Waking Up Now. I really appreciate the super chats. God bless you, my friend. Yeah, in regards to Tucker, I saw somebody post Redskin Girl. Yeah, it's true. I saw the same thing. Tucker was being posted on the Islamic regime broadcast while they literally shut down the internet. They shut down the internet in Iran so people can't, and then they're just broadcasting state media. And one of the videos they're posting is Tucker Carlson News Network. I mean, dude, you're on the wrong part of history. If when the Islamic regime shuts off the internet, you're being broadcasted on literally Big Brother state-run media in the Islamic regime. You're on the wrong side of history, if that's the case. Yeah, I used to like, I think it was Waking Up Now said, or, yeah, Waking Up Now said I trusted Tucker for years. I was like, he's the only one. He got fired from Fox. Why do you think they fired him? He's actually telling the truth. I was mistaken. That's for sure. Tucker might even believe the things that he said. I think he really is just mainly a shill for whoever pays him the most. But I don't think he can. And if you can be bought and paid for, I've said this before. If you can be bought and paid for, you're just like you can't be trusted in this arena of life. If you are somebody who's a truth teller, standing up for the truth, standing up for justice, and you have a price, James O'Keefe said it. If you have a price, you can't be trusted. You can't, if your price is anything, $1 billion, 100 million. If you have any price, you're worthless in this fight because you can be bought and you will be bought. And some of them have, like Tucker. Sad to say. I hope he repents and he will find the truth of Jesus in the Bible, and that he'll come around. I hope that for all these people. Appreciate you, Order of Melchizedek, for being a supporter. Appreciate you, man. God bless you. Thank you so much. All right, we'll watch more video here. Then I did want to watch this this video of this girl talking about Candace Owens, how she sunk to a new low, saying, and then, yeah, well, I was going to say some more stuff about the Israel stuff. I'll say it after this. So here's Candace talking about the Iran thing going on.
People, oh my gosh, you won't believe what these radicals are doing. And of course, it just seems to be that whenever Bibi Netanyahu's around the corner, like, hey, I want that piece of land, suddenly our media starts telling us, hey, you wouldn't believe how free these people are trying to get in Iran. These people are really, we need to free the Iranians. Oh, they've been living in oppression. Bibi is over here like, oh, land. Oh, no, really? It's about spreading democracy. Code word, that's military code word for dropping bombs and stealing. So many people, oh my gosh, you won't believe what these radicals.
I mean, I wonder if Candace would ever go to vacation in Iran or all these nations. I mean, you look at these Islamic countries and they're like, oh, the Muslims are not that bad. The Islamic countries aren't that bad. Look at Saudi Arabia. Look at Dubai. Okay, you've got like two Islamic countries in the whole world that just so happen to have a ton of oil, so they have the things that are pretty nice. And actually, Saudi Arabia, by a lot of the Islamic world, is viewed as like a liberal Muslim type of system of government. They're nothing like what the rest of the Middle East, comparatively to just like a few of those nations, are. They're tragic. You can see the videos of these people. We have social media. We're not just having to take Bibi's word for it here or anyone else's. The Islamic regime and these Islamic regimes in the Middle East are terribly oppressive to the people who live there. I'm not saying now we need to go invade and start this whole new campaign or something, but it's like, obviously, Iran is not a nice place. That's like pretty well known. Why is it? Well, because it's Muslim, because it's an Islamic regime. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be like that. That's why who goes to the Middle East? Who travels to the Middle East? No one travels to the Middle East. Now people aren't even traveling to Europe. Why? Because a lot of people from the Middle East moved there. I mean, it's a pretty common thread. And I mean, listen, everything the Israeli government does is not amazing. Everything Mossad does is not amazing. There's things that the Jewish people do that are definitely not amazing. the way they treat Christians. The Talmud, I don't want to have to be a broken record in saying that stuff over and over again, but to say that the Jewish people, God's desire for them, his plan for a lot of them, what's coming in the future with them in the book of Revelation and the end times wars and the Great Tribulation and the Third Temple and the nations gathering together against Jerusalem and the end times armies, the Battle of Armageddon, every single one of those prophecies, which is like the majority of everything coming, surrounds Israel, Jerusalem, and the Jewish people. I'm not saying all of them are saved. Anything they do is amazing. Obviously, that's not the case. But to say they have no place and it's just like, let's just obliterate them is crazy. There's like a weird thing happening in the world where like people find things to obsess over and they can't drop it. And I honestly, I even probably have that going on with myself a little bit. I view like the majority of the problems in the world can be connected to Islam. And I think there's actually a lot of proof of that, but it's definitely not all of it. But while that is my train of thought, Candace's and a lot of other people's it's the Jews, which is like mathematically insane when you look at the 15 million Jews and the 2 billion Muslims. There's not Jews walking around in the streets taking over nations or taking over cities and governments and being voted into office and saying, we're here to change the laws. We don't like America. We're here to change it. Jews stabbing people in the streets and doing this stuff in Europe. I mean, that's not going on. So I think mine's a little more rooted in reality, but still, we have to base our stuff back into reality that we don't get stuck into like, oh, it's one person. There's a lot of stuff going on. And again, at the end of the day, which we'll get at here in just a minute, is that like if Jesus is not your main focus and that you want all people to come to Jesus, like if you don't want all Jews and all Israel to be saved, you're wrong. If you don't want all Muslims in all of the Middle East to be saved and accept Jesus, you're wrong. If you don't want all leftists and all these LGs and all these people, LG 123s and the people who think they're cats, if you don't want these people to accept Jesus and have their life changed and be in heaven with us for eternity, you're wrong. And so if that is not your foundational message that you spread, the gospel of Jesus Christ, your message is fleeting and will be like useless in history. The only thing that will last forever is the gospel of Jesus Christ and the saving power that it has. Yeah, a lot of Jews get saved once the Antichrist comes, and there's at least 144,000 Jews that are saved in the end times that are so important that God puts his seal on them alone, and they aren't even harmed by the creatures that come out of the bottomless pit told to us in the book of Revelation, and they're probably out evangelizing, and they stand with Jesus on the Mount of Olives when he comes and splits it in two and comes from heaven and starts and brings judgment and the wrath of God upon the earth. Kind of a big deal, kind of a pretty massive big deal. So to just say, yeah, that's why when Tucker says, oh, because the book of Genesis says, bless all Israel, you think that's talking about the state of Israel? Dude, there's so many New Testament books that are in reference to Israel and the Jews. To think that that doesn't exist means you don't read the scriptures. That is what is insane about so many of these people on social media. Candace, Nick, Tucker, Joel, that Joel guy who doesn't like Jews either. All these people, the main thing about all these guys, they don't read the Bible. Even myself, I was making YouTube videos for years. I was doing all this stuff for years, studying Bible prophecy and all this stuff for years and years and years and years and years before I even understood Israel played a role in the end times at all. Like, these people they're naive. And then they're talking about this stuff like they know. They don't know. They don't know the truth. They don't know what's coming. There's a lot. It's written in the Bible. So for them to just think like, oh, I don't like what's happening in Gaza. I hate the Jews and God's going to come destroy them. Or one sentence, synagogue of Satan. And they think that that means all the Jews. You don't know the Bible. I'm sorry. You don't know the Bible at all. So what about the synagogue of Satan and then the 144,000 from this tribe of Israel, this tribe of Israel, this tribe of Israel? Make it make sense. You can't because you don't read the Bible. It's crazy, dude. All right, let's take a listen to this girl. A few more videos here.
False impression that she is either a real Christian,
Candace.
a real conservative, or a rational human being, then allow me to pop that bubble using her own words. So recently, Candace Owens took to her X account to slander the persecuted church and Christians in China who are known to meet underground by accusing them of having been established by Mossad and the CIA, who in her words also engage in global trafficking. Now, what's Candace Owens' reason for accusing the persecuted church in China of being established or in cahoots with Mossad and the CIA? Well,
Order of Melchizedek, that's 100%. Sorry, I was going on a rant there. I didn't see your comment. Yeah, people quote scripture. They talk about Jews in Israel and they don't know Romans 11. And even if you look at the synagogue of Satan thing that people are like, they form their entire theological opinion off Israel, off that one verse. First off, that was written to a specific church, and anybody who's like following after, it's so complex. But to say again that every single Jew in the world is that, then now we have the book of Hebrews, the book of Romans, the book of Acts. Paul mentions it time and time again. So to say that they're just all now brought together under it's mind-blowing, dude. If you actually understand and read the New Testament like 5-7 times through or something with this concept of Israel and Jewish people in your mind, you'll see a lot of stuff where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, everything cannot be categorized under synagogue of Satan. That's a thing that exists, and there's a lot of Jews. I remember there's even videos out there of Jews saying, even if God came and told me Jesus was the Messiah, I would reject him. Yeah, sorry to say, you're not following. You're probably not getting into the kingdom of God. You reject the Son of God. You reject the Messiah. Big mistake, massive mistake. But yeah, for people to just think, oh yeah, it's all under that category. When I hear that, I'm just like, that's what's so annoying and frustrating to me is how many people say they know the Bible and they don't study it, and they're out there talking to so many people forming their theological opinions, and they don't know the Bible. You have to read the Bible every day. If you're a Christian, you need to read the Bible every day. That is the ultimate truth. Everything we're going to see in the future, everything going on in your life is within that book. And especially if you're talking about this stuff online or in church or in school or whatever, you have to know what the Bible says. You have to read it every single day.
She was retweeting another X account called Commie Pommy, who basically defended China's actions in heavily persecuting the underground church because the underground church happens to be unregistered. So in this person's mind, and in Candace Owens' mind, the underground church being unregistered means that they are suspicious. Now, many actual Christians who do research on Christian persecution around the world understand that the church in China has long been underground and unregistered to avoid being used as a propaganda tool by the Chinese Communist Party. As stated by Open Doors, an organization that heavily monitors Christian persecution around the world, while there are registered churches in China, these are closely overseen by the state, which monitors what is preached and who is present. Under 18s are not permitted to attend. These strictures are to ensure the sinicization of churches, that is, the aligning of religious doctrine with communist ideology. This intrusion means that many churches decide not to register, meeting underground instead as house churches. So instead of Candace Owens doing actual research on why these churches are unregistered, she chose instead to use her massive platform to slander the persecuted Christians in China and spread propaganda.
This is, again, the sad state of this whole derangement syndrome that a lot of people deal with when it's either Trump or it's Israel or the Jews or Islam, and you just categorize everything under this and you have blinders on. Then you start to get to the point where you look at things that are real in the world and say, oh, it's these people causing this problem. And even if you find one thing like, oh, there's one Jew connected to it, or there's one Muslim doing this, then you think there's it, there's the key, there's the missing link. It's not that easy. I mean, to say that the Christians in China are not persecuted and it's a Mossad psyop is a flat out lie. There is so much history and evidence of the Christian churches in China persecuted. There's evidence of we have the documents they put out to the churches. There's images in churches in China you can look up now online and see crosses and Xi Jinping right next to it, holding him up to the same status of Jesus Christ. And the churches give out these pamphlets that are given to the churches that you have to say this. They take out certain verses in the Bible that could form some dissent against oppressive governments. So to say that is false and it's insane. Or like Candace was saying earlier, oh, the Islamic regime in Iran is not harming people. Netanyahu just wants Iran, the land of Iran. Does he really even want the land of Iran? I doubt they would ever take that land. But to say like, oh, the Islamic regime in Iran is not a bad place to live and they're actually nice to the people, and this is a Israel psyop. I mean, it's crazy. People actually believe that. It's insane. Maranatha, I'm going to check out that video offline about the explanation of that. I'll definitely look that up. Thank you. I got it pulled up here.
Communist propaganda at that. Let's not forget that some weeks ago, she also underplayed the very real danger of radical Islam. And anybody who does any actual research on Christian persecution around the world knows that Christian persecution around the globe mainly comes from Islam and communism. Now, why does Candace Owens, the Christian and the conservative podcaster, seem to be supporting both communism and radical Islam, which are in direct opposition to Christianity and which are heavily persecuting the church globally? I don't know. Ask yourself that question. If you still...
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, it's beyond a shadow of a doubt that the most oppressive force against Christians, against non-Christians, around the entire world is the Muslim ideology. That's what's really going on. Massive persecution around the world, and is vast majority from them. We'll play this video here as we end this off. I'll look at the chat and respond to some stuff if I missed anything. I know Jesus is definitely working on Joe Rogan. I hope he is on Tucker. Because Tucker came out and said he was attacked by a demon, and then in the following months began to say stuff like, is Sharia law even that bad? Islam means submission to God. I think that's kind of the whole point of life, right? If you believe the Bible, you cannot support Islam in any percent besides 0. The Bible says if you deny the Son of God, you're Antichrist and your ideology is Antichrist. The Quran denies the sonship of Jesus 13 times. It's the main tenet of Islam is that you deny that Jesus is the Son of God. We cannot support Islam in any sense. And there's over 100 verses that command violence against us, against Christians, against Jews, against any non-follower of Islam. It has no place in any society around the world. No place. No place. Even in these Middle Eastern nations, they don't even need it there, because guaranteed the women, none of the women want it there. I can guarantee that. The kids don't want it, I'm sure. Terrible things go on in the name of that worldwide. Islam is evil. If Islam was gone, the world would be a lot more peaceful. A lot more peaceful. It's demonic what's driving that. I'll watch the chat as we watch this video. I did find this interesting. This John D'Souza guy is, he was actually like the real X-Files agent. He worked on these, like in the FBI, he worked on these different files and just the different stories that were coming of like paranormal, supernatural stuff. He's come out in recent years and talked more. And this was, what he had to say about Obama. Yeah, I think Jesus is working on everyone. I mean, there's a lot of Christians out there who even think like Tucker does and like what Tucker's teaching, but they are so wrong. And these people don't read the Bible. And that's the main thing. You can believe in Jesus, and then now this whole Christian national thing, which I mean, America should be Christian. We should be dominating in every sphere of influence. Christians should be. I believe that. But to say that, like, again, that whole thing is just like they're totally missing the mark, 100%. Yeah, Loving your enemies doesn't mean hiding the truth, especially while they continue to mislead people. Yes. Yes. All right, we'll take a listen to this video here. I'll read the comments here, and then we'll end off the video here soon.
2008, something unbelievable happened for us in the FBI. We were getting lots of rumors about this high-level asset that worked for several intelligence agencies at the same time. He worked for the Saudi intelligence service. He worked for the CIA, and he was being developed as a political asset in Chicago, Illinois. He was not even a United States citizen, but it was said that he was a student visa and that he was a national from another country. In 2008, everyone in the intelligence structure found out who he was. It was this individual whose name I don't like to say, who became president in 2008 of the United States.
And I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States.
One of his code names was Renegade. His real name was Barry Sortoro, but he adopted a different name for his political career. When they ran him for president, the cabal, basically, this was the culmination of so many of their plans for so many years.
Yeah, you know, everything I've ever said against Tucker, Candace, or anyone else has obviously been in love, which is why I pray for them. I say I hope they have the truth revealed to them. But the reason that we're in this, you know, conversation and this area that we're at now, and where we're at this point, where things have gotten to the point, is because people won't stand up and say the truth about these things. That's why the LG thing got completely out of control, and the whole, all of this in all these different areas. It's because people didn't stand up and say the truth. And this is the truth. Islam is evil. It's demonic. It's leading people to hell. It's leading people, and these ideologies that they are saying and that they're teaching and that Tucker and Candace are leading people on are leading people to a place of literally accepting the Antichrist's anti-Jewish ideology. He's going to be completely against them. He's going to turn against them. And a lot of people are going to say, yep, that's right. They'll follow this person's the Messiah, destroy them. That's why Jesus said, you see the nations surrounded against Jerusalem, Armageddon, all, I mean, time and time again, there's so much stuff. It's like fulfilling end times hate, end times bad things that are going to be coming in the end times. We have to speak out against it. I mean, well, sometimes the truth hurts. I'm not trying to put you down either, but, you know, I will call out evil, and I'll call out just like destructive ideologies, especially people who are claiming. My main thing with them too is that they claim that they're Christians, and there's a lot. Imagine how many people are listening to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson who are baby Christians, and they are learning to hate Israel, to hate the Jews, to think that they have no place in society. Again, I saw another one of these people just like them too. And they're just, what they're promoting is just, it's not Christ-like. It's not at all Christ-like. Not at all. Same with Nick Fuentes. Like, Nick Fuentes says stuff that's funny sometimes. I get it. He says some stuff that's legitimate sometimes, but we can't have like one of the leading conservative voices in America say that Hitler was cool. He wasn't that bad of a guy. You can't say that and be a Christian and claim you're a Christian. And the other thing he says, like, he's always like, oh, you know, you say that, oh, F you. That's not how, I'm sorry. That's just not how we're supposed to talk and not how we're supposed to act. Is just look at the things that Nick says. Do we think that that's how Jesus would act if he was here, or the things that Jesus would say? Definitely not. Definitely not.
His mission was to destroy the United States from within, one institution at a time. One of the things he did, of course, was he defunded our military. He brought down the resources that they got. But then he ordered our military in many instances and in various theaters to attack our allies and to defend and supply and help our enemies. That's exactly how he created ISIS. He would say publicly that the military were going to bomb our enemies, but then he would have the military actually bomb enemies of ISIS, our allies. He gave ISIS funding and equipment by basically ordering our military to take equipment into a certain theater and then abandon it. And the commanders would say, that's ridiculous. We'd just be handing that stuff over to ISIS. And the president's office would say, don't question orders.
It's pretty insane how many connections, and Obama came out of nowhere. Isn't it weird? Like every other person running for president, we pretty much know them. We've seen them in like history. They were doing things here, and of course, there's like supposed claims that this was with Obama, but the dude just comes out of nowhere and becomes a president for 8 years. And look at all the things that he did while he was in. And then he even, slipped up a few times and said, like, my Muslim faith. And then he did the rainbow thing at the White House. Not hard to see that after that happened, a lot of things started changing in America. And that's the thing, too. I agree, M. Williams. I think that the religion of Islam could definitely play a part in the end times army that goes out and rounds up Christians. And so, yeah, I want to kind of, put that off. Obviously, we can't put off prophecy, but things unfold by the way things happen in the earth. If there was a huge revival that swept the earth right now and half the Muslims gave their life to Jesus, the end times would probably be pushed off by a long time, and it would still unfold when God wanted it to. But, we're not here to just sit back and wait for, the sky to fall. We're here to spread the gospel and to stand up for truth and justice like God says so. So that's what I'm going to do my best to do it. And yes, do it from love. Yeah, Nick, there's Catholics who believe in Jesus. I've said this a lot. I don't want to get into the Catholic thing right now too, but I don't think it's a coincidence that Nick and Candace are both Catholics because they're probably never reading their Bible. Candace says she doesn't even talk about the Bible because if she has a question, her priest should answer it, or she'll go talk to her priest about it. And then I saw a clip of Nick saying the other day, Christians shouldn't even read the Bible. As soon as that started happening, then they started saying stuff like, well, there's no difference between Jew and Greek and between a Jew and a Greek. Well, that's what the Bible says. So yeah, we should be reading it. Kind of crazy to think that people would say that. So yeah, it's sad to say. I pray Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes comes to know the truth of Jesus Christ. I pray all of us will be led by the truth of Jesus, the biblical principles, the love of Jesus. I hope and I pray that is what happens to them all and all of us, every one of us here. Seriously, that's what changes things the most. And that's what we can never forget. We could stand up and expose the conspiracies, the New World Order, stand up and expose the lies or the different things that people are doing. And yes, that has some value and is even mentioned in the Bible to do too. But by far what's mentioned way more than that is the truth of Jesus Christ, and that Jesus has the power to save. He has the power to change. Nothing else has the power to change like Jesus Christ. Why is America such a prosperous, amazing place that people want to be? Because a ton of people who believed in Jesus Christ built this country. That's why it became so amazing. Of course, we know John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. I typed in Jesus' love for verses to pop up to end this video off of, and we see one of the most important truths in these verses, how many times it's mentioned that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. If we do not recognize that, that's the massive difference between Islam and Christianity, and what separates Islam from being 100% false, one of quite a few things actually. But the difference between that and the truth of the scriptures, Jesus is the Son of God. He came to save, and the only way to God is through him. 1 John 4:10 says, this is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Galatians 2:20, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. In Ephesians 3:19, and to know the love of Christ, with which passeth knowledge, that he might be filled with all the fullness of God, which comes through Jesus Christ alone. That's the power that changes people for real, and that can actually change everyone's mind. set the nation in the right place. 2 Chronicles 7:14, God says, if my people turn from their wicked ways and repent and follow him and turn from their wicked ways, then God will save them and heal their land and forgive their sins. Following Jesus is how things actually change for real in our nation. And so I pray that for America. I pray that for the rest of the world. We should aim for that. We should aim for a revival of the truth of Jesus. If we can get a lot of people to turn to Jesus Christ, things could change for the better in a lot of different ways. That's our hope and that's our prayer. That's mine for sure. Yeah, it's extremely important. I also encourage you all to study the Bible. It's important that we know this truth if we're going to stand up for the truth of the Bible and what the Bible actually says. Study it, listen to it, and please don't get your theology from people who are just like influencers or podcasters. Now, a lot of like the Christian ones out there, you can tell they read their Bible, they care about the truth, and they care about getting to the bottom of the matter. But a lot of these people who are like the mainstream ones, who are like being invited on Fox News, going on all these other, going on all these podcasts, besides like Wesley Huff, all these people, they're not studying the Bible. It's extremely obvious. Study the Bible, read the New Testament time and time again. Never stop reading it, all the time, everyday study. Listen to preachers. Get different preachers' opinions on what the Bible has to say. This is how we'll understand and get a greater in-depth, learning of what the Bible actually says and what it actually means, because it matters, especially in the times we're in and where we're going. So I pray that for all you guys. Thank you guys for all stopping on. I hope and pray you're well. We'll be back soon with another live stream. God bless you guys. Jesus is King. Believe in Jesus. Spread the truth of Jesus. Pray to Jesus. Worship Jesus. Glorify him. Spend your time, your life with him. Study him. Read his word. It's literally him in word form. It's really important. I mean, that's an important fact to think of too as we end this off. The Bible is Jesus in word form. So if you're believing or trying to teach one thing about the Bible, you're trying to teach something about Jesus to people. And if you're wrong, you're teaching a wrong version of Jesus to someone. If you really care about the truth, you'll read to it all. See the cross references, see how it connects to the Old Testament, to the New Testament, to Revelation, to what's coming in the future, new heavens, new earth, to what's happening now. You'll study it fully to know that you are approved in what you were learning and what you're saying. Not just take one little thing and say it here because you think it makes sense in relation to current events or something like that. If you care about the truth of Jesus, then you'll take very seriously his word, which is Jesus, and you'll learn to study that and spread that truth accordingly and correctly. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. God bless you.